All right, you guys, it is time to talk about fragrance and dyes here in chapter 4. Now, fragrance and dyes don't come with your kit, so this is going to be something you're going to purchase on your own, and you're going to want to do your research. This is where it kind of gets tricky with the candle. So if you use a scent or something that's not going to mix well with the wax that you're using, you could end up with a candle that won't harden, or the scent may burn off, and or it may not like sort of bind with the wax. So you want to make sure you're doing your research anytime you are using scent in your candles. It's really easy to create your favorite candle scents with essential oils and natural extracts, or like aromatic isolates. If you're combining a few different essential oils like lemon and rosemary, make sure to split up the amount. We prefer to use like a paraben-free fragrance and oil. The more natural, the better. A good general rule of thumb for mixing these is to use 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce of fragrance for every pound of wax. So you have something called fragrance load, and fragrance load just means how much fragrance or oil to add to the amount of wax you're using. The fragrance load of a candle correlates to the percentage of fragrance used in candle making. It will determine the scent throw of a candle and the maximum amount of fragrance a candle can hold without causing issues. When it comes to figuring out how much candle fragrance to use, you need to know the fragrance load of your candle wax first. Most candle wax makers will include this on the label and in the description of the product. So like store-bought candles have a fragrance load of about 6%, whereas a high quality handcrafted candle can have a fragrance load of up to 12% depending on the wax blend. So let's talk about essential oils for a minute. This citronella I got to add to make a citronella candle is 100% pure and natural essential oil. But when you're purchasing these oils, you're going to want to make sure that it is for candle making, because I tried in the beginning of my candle making venture, I tried to use some essential oils I had in the house, and it did not bind well to the candle, and it kind of ended up smelling a little weird. Now I may have had my temperature too high because I wasn't really paying attention, but not all essential oils are made equally. So I just want to stress, when you're buying scents, make sure you're looking for one that is candle making approved. When I found this online, it specifically said that it was good for soap making and candle making. So I went ahead and got it. These two scents right here, they are essential oils, but they are made for candle making. And I don't know exactly what they do to the mix, but I can tell you that I purchased these specifically in the candle making supply area of the hobby and craft store, because I wanted to make sure that it mixed well with my wax, and I didn't have to worry about it like changing the chemical structure of the wax as it hardened. Essential oils are such a great source to use, like lemon, eucalyptus. I've got lavender here and citronella, but they're extracted from natural sources. So you're not going to have to worry about like weird chemical-y stuff coming up out of your candle as you're scenting your home. In concentrated form, you're only going to need a few drops of these, but again, it can be a little tricky, so you're going to want to read some guidelines, especially if you're buying some that are used for candle making. There's going to be some guidelines for use and how to use these. And not, again, like I said earlier, some essential oils might not agree with the waxes that you're using. So make sure, is a good rule of thumb, to always purchase an oil or a scent specifically made for candle making. Natural extracts like pumpkin or spice or caramel, they are commonly used in baking, so you may have some on hand. You can add those to your candle waxes. Just make sure you watch like a tutorial or something along the lines of giving you like a good mix of how much to add into your wax, because you don't want to over or under scent. Now let's talk about dye a little bit. I purchased this candle dye, 16 different colors. I have experimented with it quite a bit. I've got this beautiful pink candle here that I made with this wax dye, and it comes in 16 different colors. Now, dye is the kind of thing that you are really going to have to experiment with, because how much you add is really going to be based on the kind of color that you're going for. So when you add just a little bit of color, this is the color that I added to this candle, and you can see here and in this little small package, it is very dark. You add it to all this wax and it's going to lighten up. So if you want it to be a deeper, richer color, you're going to have to add more wax. And if you want like a soft pastel, you add a little bit less dye wax. Now, a good way to kind of test the color, because once it's heated and you add some dye, it's going to be a really strong color. When I poured this candle, it was about this color. It was very electric-y pink. It wasn't quite this dark, but it was really close. And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like a highlighter. And then of course, as it dried, it softened. But a good way to test how much dye you want to add in there, like if you're testing for the first time, get a paper towel and take the spoon, your stainless steel spoon here, dip a little bit into your melted wax and kind of just put it on a paper towel, wipe it on a paper towel and let it harden for a second, and it will kind of give you a good idea of what this is going to look like. It's not going to be 100% exact, but it will be a good range. And like I said, this is going to have to be an area where you experiment. This is a good place to take notes. So like if you add a 1/4 teaspoon, a 1/2 teaspoon, a whole teaspoon, how much color does that add, and all of those things. You're going to have to take notes as you're making these candles so that you can get the mix and the color that you prefer. So there's just all kinds of so many colors in here, and there is a great guide. Look at all these colors, just so many colors. And there's a great little guide in here that comes with it that's going to help you figure out like how to mix these. So like if you wanted to make a particular color, you can kind of mix some of these, get like a turquoise and a coral and all that, and it kind of tells you how much to mix. And it's got like great instructions in here and telling you how to mix these together and what amounts and all that. So great little handy reference guide. And you know, this is not the only way to add color to your candles. You can also use like a liquid candle dye. I prefer the wax. I feel like it's just a little bit less messy. I don't have to worry about running or spilling or anything. And if you want to go that liquid route, there's so many options there too. Again, this is going to be an area where you need to experiment and try different things. I picked these up on Amazon, but I have seen candle dyes like in Michael's and Hobby Lobby, so you can get them there too. So lots of stuff to experiment with, you guys. We're going to move on to the next chapter, which is containers and molds. So you can really change the look and sort of feel of your candle depending on the candle or the mold that you use. So join me in chapter 5 and let's talk about containers.